We appreciate our witnesses visiting with us down in the classified SCIF. And now we meet today to receive testimony in open session on the posture of United States Special Operations Command, United States Cyber Command. We're joined by Admiral Mitch Bradley, Commander of the United States Special Operations Command, General Joshua Rudd, Commander of the United States Cyber Command and Director of the National Security Agency, Mr. Derek Anderson, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low Intensity Conflict, and Ms. Katie Sutton, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Cyber Policy. And all members are reminded to silence their devices, including the chair. Recent operations, including Absolute Resolve, Midnight Hammer, and Epic Fury, represent a watershed moment for American military power. Each operation wove cyber effects into the fabric of joint force operations at the beginning of planning. Consequently, our cyber operators were able to illustrate the potential of these capabilities as a force multiplier unlike any other. We must ensure that the lessons learned from recent operations are fully digested and integrated into our doctrine and planning. However, we cannot allow these successes to lull us into complacency. Cyber threats are immediate, persistent, and they are escalating. Every day, our adversaries target America's critical infrastructure and government networks. They're advancing their capabilities to outpace and outcompete our forces in cyberspace, and we must not allow that. To keep up with these threats, we must redouble our efforts to modernize and strengthen American cyber forces. Doing so requires us to make fundamental updates to the way military services generate, organize, and sustain cyber forces. This effort is as ambitious as it is necessary. The Pentagon has launched a department-wide initiative, CYBERCOM 2.0, to increase skill and readiness of our cyber forces. This initiative is simple. Just like any other military service, we will need a well-trained pipeline of cyber operators supported by a whole range of acquisition professionals. And we do not have that today. Perhaps have testimony about how far along we are. Our cyber operators are working overtime, and we're not ready to generate new forces to replace them. I'm troubled that this effort is not moving fast enough. Current operations will always be priority number one, but we must ensure this pace is sustainable. Our cyber operators are not the only highly specialized forces in demand. America's special operations forces are more important now than ever before. No longer confined to their traditional role as a force of last resort, special operations forces often serve as a first choice across the full spectrum of military action. Special operations forces conduct direct action against high-value targets, as we witnessed during the raid to apprehend Nicolas Maduro from his heavily fortified compound outside Caracas. They train and advise partner forces, building capacity and strengthening alliances across Latin America, Europe, and the First Island chains. They gather intelligence against our adversaries in hostile environments. They respond to crises worldwide at a moment's notice, and they operate in the gray zone between peace and war, the context in which much of today's strategic competition unfolds. However, the funding provided to Special Operations Command has not kept pace with the seemingly insatiable demand for its capabilities. The command faces a troubling gap between its mission requirements and available resources, and I do think there's consensus on both sides of the dais and both sides of the aisle to correct that as soon as we can. Last year, General Brian Fenton, then Commander of Special Operations Command, stated before this committee, and I'm going to quote General Fenton, "We continue to grapple with years of flat budgets, a 14% decrease in buying power, significant personnel reductions, and the requirement to evolve our technology and authorities. All this forces trade-offs, tough choices that challenge current missions and put modernization at risk. End of quote from General Fenton. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the $1.6 billion increase in last year's reconciliation funding was not fully applied to the purpose for which Congress intended it. Perhaps we could discuss that today. This morning, I looked to Admiral Bradley and Secretary Anderson to tell us, to tell this committee what they need. I hope they will tell us how to equip their force to combat the advanced militaries of China and Russia, to remain fully engaged in the fight against violent Islamic terrorism, and to respond at a moment's notice as our nation's premier crisis response force. And with that, I recognize my friend and colleague, the Ranking Member Reed, for his opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Admiral Bradley and General Rudd, Mr. Anderson, and Ms. Sutton. Thank you very much. And please convey our thanks, our deep thanks to the men and women under your commands. Tomorrow marks 2 months since President Trump launched the war with Iran. Both Special Operations Command and Cyber Command are deeply engaged in this conflict. Our special operatives and cyber forces have played a major role in enabling combat operations, conducting information warfare, and providing intelligence support, including the remarkable mission to rescue the crew of the F-15 aircraft shot down in Iran early this month. This hearing is a reminder that modern warfare requires the full integration of every element of American military power. Today, I would like our witnesses to provide updates on how their personnel are engaged in the war with Iran and what lessons should be drawn for future conflicts. Admiral Bradley, our Special Operations Forces are unparalleled, but they are not without limits. I am concerned the administration has been deploying your forces at an unsustainable pace and for missions that could be questioned. Over the past year, SOCOM has led and executed the attack on Venezuela to capture Nicolas Maduro, the boat strike campaign in the Caribbean and Pacific, and various operations throughout the Middle East and Africa. I have serious concerns about Operation Southern Sphere in particular. Our service members have been ordered to strike and kill hundreds of suspected criminals in the open ocean over the past 8 months, placing them in legally and ethically perilous circumstances. I would ask for an update on SOCOM's role in Southern Sphere and its